most anticipated one, What is Life, Temptation and Beyond? So it will be delivered by Shri Varun Agarwal, Director, Bhaktivedanta Institute, Kolkata. Just to give a brief introduction of him, Varun Agarwal is an alumnus of IIT Kanpur, Aerospace Engineering, 1999, and is currently the director of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, Kolkata. He was a recipient of IIT Kanpur Director's Gold Medal in 1999 for his excellent undergraduate academic record. His research interests include the foundation of science and its possible connections with spirituality. His search for a deeper meaning of life culminated in meeting and taking personal guidance from Dr. T.D. Singh, which completely changed his life, after which he dedicated himself to the cause of selflessly helping humanity. He is the editor of many publications on science and spirituality, including Bhaktivedanta Institute's reputed annual Science Spirituality journal, Savigyanam, Scientific Exploration for a Spiritual Paradigm. His deep interest in the foundation of mathematics and the nature of consciousness and its relation to the nature of reality as well as ancient Indian texts has led him to interact and meet with renowned scholars at Harvard, Princeton, ETH, Stanford, and MIT. He has given numerous talks worldwide on the foundation of science as well as the foundation of life, mathematics, and spirituality. So I would like to welcome Shri Varun Agarwal ji.
Namaskar, good evening to everybody. Um, Actually, my health has been not so going well today. So what I have done is I made a short video, recorded the video, short videos of 10 minutes, combined them, and I will play it. This today only I recorded in the day. So because long lecture difficult to give now. So after I will play it now, and after that I will come back for the again appear before you for the interaction and question answers if any. Okay. Our topic today is what is life? A journey from temptations to beyond. So we had wonderful presentations last few days, 4 days actually. Very brilliant scholars from around the world.
Maybe you can go
on
forward
different
with it.
topics they presented, and a lot of wisdom has flown to regarding life, regarding origin of life, and what are the proposals and what are the challenges. So in this presentation here today, we'll make a short and simple journey. Why we use the word temptation, I will slowly explain, and also try to give you a small hints about the possible research directions for connected to life. So in this, so when we explore nature, like our modern scientific exploration, when we see the nature around us, means the universe, the stars, the galaxies above. So definitely one questions why at all things are there. Of course, in our daily life, we get too busy from morning, wake up to the whole night, whole day, in various necessities, procuring and maintaining the necessities of life. But then this question for inquisitive mind always bothers. Why this universe? How come this phenomena, different multitude of phenomena are happening in this universe? You see a bird chirping, how it is dying, different colorful birds, different species. and then the stars. So why come, how come and why, how they are there? And we know because none of that we created. Uh, it's just there, and we ourselves actually come at some point. So this quest, modern science started with this quest, and to understand this quest, to understand a solution for this, to understand it, uh, there has been various developments, proposals in the earlier 16th century, the 500 years of modern science. So we discovered various laws, uh, which we have read from our childhood, right? Newton's law, gravitation law, electromagnetic law, so many laws, and we discovered, well, there are atoms there, there are subatomic particles there are forces there are fields there, and we found that quite a big degree of nature can be explained using these laws, using these equations, simple as well as sometimes complex equations, but we are able to explain a good deal, quite a good deal, quite a good work. So it looks very tempting. That's how the word temptation we're using here. It looks very tempting to conclude that the nature is basically the combination of these atoms, forces, and fields. So this temptation, uh, 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 that's how we use this word here in this presentation. So it looks very tempting. Then that's all there is in the nature, and we uh, what we find, what we have understood. But the history of science, last 400-500 years, we have seen that our temptations have been uh, not not so correct. I give you a few examples, like this Newton's mechanics. Uncertainty means when we thought that mechanics is working, Newton mechanics is working very good, we can predict motions of a particle. Then as we move further in the subdomain of atomic atoms, we saw that the electron, when it comes to electron, things are very different. The kind of certainty we had is converted to probability now, and there's all sort of difficulties and problems. The non-locality and things doesn't work that way. Similarly, we thought space is a fixed background, and which looks very tempting because our space, when you see around, it looks very fixed. But then we realize that, well, that temptation is not correct. Relativity comes in, and space is a moving thing. And same with the time. Time also we thought fixed and also very simple element, but today time is one of the biggest issues in modern physics. Same in mathematics, Euclidean geometry. Um, the it is look very tempting because the world around us looks three-dimensional. So geometry should be finally just three-dimensional geometry, Euclidean geometry. But we moved further and we realized and discovered further geometries are there, higher dimensional geometries are there, and mathematicians today work on n number of geometries. Uh, so so temptation doesn't work fully. We saw that it is useful, but we found that eventually it is not sufficient enough. Similarly, we thought universe is knowable, and we now know that no, universe is not fully knowable uh, ever. And then, of course, same thing, mathematization of nature, it is related that we thought everything in the nature can be mathematized. You can put that in the form of few equations, partial different equations, and solve. and anything from atom to the whole universe. But then, as we moved on, we realized, well, that's not correct. There are limits in mathematics itself. Mathematics has a limit. That's called incompleteness theorem by a brilliant mathematician, Gödel. So same temptation continues to sell. Uh, uh, this this so yeah, the same temptation continues to the cell. When you see a cell, uh, you see combination of proteins, lipids, uh, all the different macromolecules. No? So we feel that, well, that's what the cell is. Uh, so how these all temptations, the history started, I will quickly go couple of slides. You know it, you have heard, already seen this in last few days, and our scholars have presented. Actually, earlier, this life was considered like a very vital, very uh, uh, which cannot be compared with any material things, matter. But then, when the Wohler start made the urea, which is one of the product of our life, of our body, in the lab, so they felt that, well, some of the things from the body, they can be made in laboratory, and slowly, why not one by one, all and more and more and more. So as you know, it went further into Miller's experiment, and that producing amino acids in the discharge, with the discharge of lightning, uh, simulating lightning basically, uh, in that, and then so it became, belief became more firm. Well, that yes, looks like we can make the life fully. It is just a combination of chemicals. You're just putting them things together in a proper proportionate, and that's what the life is. The cell is, and you have one cell, then multi-cell, and then this got more confirmed from the discovery of DNA, by which we can manipulate many things now. You can cut and paste. So, so it was idea that, oh well, now you know DNA, you know life. You know means you can do now anything with the life, and that's what life is. So life is within our grip soon, and no more than a combination of orchestrated chemistry of atoms. So this conception of this temptation that life is basically a combination of chemical, and then it went further: RNA, PNA, TNA. So many things are there in this origin of life. So today, people feel that the origin of life problem seems to have lost in the details of prebiotic chemistry. I think this is by Agarwal, one of the origin of life pioneer. He from US. He passed away a couple of years back. He wrote very brilliant papers. So, and then all so many models. Many of you have seen all these models. Some were presented. Operance model, Christian Dudovez, Miller, Arenworld hypothesis, very famous. So, but then there are several tenable theories about the origin of organic material on primitive Earth, but in no case is the supporting evidence compelling. Same Oracle. So these theories are good, but then you know that they are insufficient to explain, because so many issues are there. One of the major issues, like Miller himself said, is the environmental issue. But we don't know what the environment was like that time, which we suppose we are trying and expecting something and trying to make it, but we are not sure. And so many other issues. I think our James and Vikramasinghe, professor, and a couple other scholars, they dealt it deeply. So this is there. So this doesn't work well. It is useful. There's not that they are not useful. They are useful, but then they are not sufficient, and there are tremendous issues. So now let's look into the. Let me go little zoom out one simpler angle about life, a bigger picture. Uh, like when you see, say, take for example a human body. When you see, it looks very tempting. Well, what is as you see? Well, these are muscles, there are nerves, there are bones. So life is basically that. That's what you are. It looks like that. Well, certainly, as we are seeing it, it is a part of it. But to conclude and to this temptation that, well, that's all it is, there comes the issue. Uh, so it's not that simple as it looks at the first glance or the first temptation. Let me give you a little bit idea why it's not that simple, just a combination of muscle and nerves. I'll give example of five issues. Five examples I will give you. Can have idea about the observation, about the meaning, language, purpose, consciousness. So these are also very the very fundamental foundational issues uh, which are concerned with life. There are many others, but I picked a few to give you an idea. So let us go. We are trying basically to go beyond temptations. So the first, the act of observation is a issue. So what is the issue actually, and why the act of observation is the issue? Idea is that you see our whole process of observing it starts from observation, right? Scientific analysis. You observe a phenomena, hypothesize, experiment, make a theory, all this. So this observation, it was very deeply analyzed by one of the quantum physicist, also a mathematician, uh, von Neumann, who had tremendous contributions. Neumann, every computer scientist, every more or less people know him. He was in Princeton for a long time. So he has a book called Mathematical Foundations of Quantum Mechanics, and in the last chapter he discusses this. So idea is that when you observe something, for example, I am observing a pen. Take for example, I am observing this pen. So when I observe this pen, what are the things involved? Well, there are three things involved. One is the object which you are observing. Second is the instrument what we use, and third is the person who is observing. Right? So these are three items involved. So suppose you take a microscope and you observe something under the microscope. Then you have an object which you are seeing, then you have microscope as instrument, and then you as the observer. But then the issue is if you remove microscope, for example, so there is an object there, whatever object. Now you are seeing through the eyes, right? So eye is an instrument, right? You know it is a retina, lenses, their image is formed. So there is an instrument, and today you know some details. 100 years back, we knew some details. Today we know after 100 years, we know more details about the lens, about the light also, and how the image is formed. Image is formed, and so those aspects. Well, so but then and after 100 years, we may know more certainly, but still we know that we are it is an instrument to observe. So you have second thing of I as a instrument. The third point is then who is observing? Who is actually the observer? the third element which we saw. So who is observing? Who is the real observer? So von Neumann came to conclusion that you cannot remove a consciousness, a conscious being, or whosoever is finally observing, who is behind the instruments. Instrument details may keep on changing. That's why you put arrow. It can increase, decrease in the second. But then the third part you will not able to cut out. Howsoever your advance. So in the second box, that advancement of modern science technology, this box can keep on increasing, but you will not be able to make the third part out out from here. So observer, the person who is observing must be there. Otherwise, instrument is still an instrument. So this is the issue, which is a very open and frank mystery about the act of observation. And you mind it that observation is on a fundamental thing which we do, right, in any scientific analysis. So, but the very first step in our scientific analysis is a question mark. It is full of mystery and unsolved mystery. So life, we as it looks like just a combination of nerves and neurons, not uh, that simple. You can just one simple act of observation you analyze, and you can see the issues coming out. So the next question is the question of meaning. Well, meaning, right? So like we all search for anything. I ask you or you ask me, what is the meaning of it? If I say it is a set of suppose 10 numbers. So what is set? You define it. Your definition. What is the definition of set? So definition means you are searching for a meaning. So this meaning, why we actually look for meaning? Why we are interested in meaning always? What is meaning and why we look for meaning is a mystery. That's why definitions at all. All the concepts we study in our modern science, whether physics, mathematics, you always have a definition to define, to mean why you look for meaning. So this meaning is a mystery. There's a book by one of the brilliant scientists, Michael Polanyi, Meaning, on this itself. I put the small images of that, the meaning. Uh, so this is another thing. It is not just the biochemistry. There's so much inside life involved, inside us. And of course, the foundational issue of consciousness. Some of the scholars hinted about this. It is a big topic. Uh, how, what is consciousness? Last 40, 50 years, it has become very, very prominent. We have cells, we have neurons. By the way, first of all, we don't know. We know this synapse, the two neurons touching. They don't touch physically. And that the transmission from one neuron to second neuron. There are so many theories we study long back. The Eccles have proposed a theory. So many people have proposed so many theories. So uh, the meaning is the issue. Uh, very big issue. Oh, sorry, consciousness. So, because it looked like we earlier imagined that, consciousness means just a combination of size, may be arising from some brain thing or something, but uh, we don't understand really consciousness. Yeah, so consciousness is a big mystery actually in modern science. Uh, it is called Chetana in Hindi. Uh, and this has become a foundational problem almost in every discipline now. I have listed few samples like in neuroscience, philosophy, in AI, in psychology, in law even, of course, quantum physics, from where it kind of originated the problems, and the mathematics, the foundations of mathematics. So each is a big topic. How how neuroscience conscious is the issue means so many perceptions we get through, but how they are get combined, where, how is the issue, binding problem. Then philosophy, this has been an old problem. AI, yes, is the issue because you can make very advanced computer robots, but still something gets missed there. Consciousness is not there. So self-awareness is not there, the root. You may mimic many things, but still the self-awareness is missing. And similarly, psychology, of course, who is perceiving, the perception problem, and how you perceive things. Law, yes, who is the responsible person behind? Is it just the sodium potassium ions flowing in the nerves, or who is responsible? And of course, quantum physics method, and there's a famous quantum physics, the issues. I'm not going detail in this presentation in quantum physics. And mathematics also, the issues of uh, intuitionism, formalism, which we had presented separately in our other summer school. So we had our conference in on quantum physics consciousness. It is a big proceeding, detailed proceeding volume is there. You can get it, read it, more lot of details about quantum physics part and other things also. You get some idea. And similarly, the mystery of language. So the language we use every day, language very easily. I am speaking, you are speaking, we all speak, communicate, interact. But how language originated is a mystery, actually. So we don't know. The fathers of linguistics, the very giant people like Chomsky, he he's he makes it very clear that we don't know how the language actually originated. So many people feel that origin of language is not from the primordial soup. Actually, the Chomsky himself feels that language, the roots of language lie not in primordial chemicals, rather in the mind itself. So that there is a big area of research as an open area. Like Professor Martin, he is our professor from Harvard, is our well, good known to us. A very brilliant person. A lot of works he has done. He said many, even today, many linguistic biologists, philosophers have difficulty imagining how language could have arisen through evolutionary process. Explanation seems glib and circular. And this Pinker, another Harvard scholar, that they try to explain one bit of our psychology by appealing to some other equally mysterious bit. So this is a mystery, and the interesting thing is, if one goes deep into the origin of language, he'll come to the question of mind, and eventually, which will lead him to further things, deeper things. And similarly, the next issue of purpose. Well, this purpose is a. I'll give you explain you uh, a little bit. It's using one or two examples. How this purpose is a. There are a couple of books just listed for reference. Like this scholar, physicist actually, Bernard Hash, who came to our conference in quantum physics 2 3 years back in Calcutta. There's a book by him, The Purpose Guided Universe. The element of purpose, what it is, and how we are still lacking it uh, in our equations or laws of universe which we have is a mystery. But we have purpose starting from everyday action. So I give you a simple example. For example, I give you two examples actually. One example is projectile motion. So this is a simple example which we all have studied in school. When you throw a ball, the projectile path it follows, and then your equations, right? X axis, y axis, and you can break them down, predict the velocity or which time where it will be like this. So, but one of the questions which still remains here, you can find out, of course, uh, by the equations that where the ball will hit given after suppose 5 seconds or where it will be or when it will hit, right? But still, one of the question remains that why the ball was thrown. That doesn't come under the purview of the equations we have here or whatever we have actually in whole mechanics. Uh, why the person, the boy, threw the ball? It could have hundreds of purposes, and we don't know, and doesn't the equation doesn't reflect it. He could be playing with his friend. He could be angry with another person and throwing, or he could be throwing a bomb, or hundreds of possibilities are there. So this purpose, though these equations are very useful, but still something is missing there. I give another example, very simple example of suppose physics of put physics of eating. Means suppose you lift a small rasgulla from table from your table to the mouth, right? So if you analyze the motion of this ball being lifted from velocity 0 and height, this is the height, and then up to this height, you can analyze very nicely. The equations are given there on the screen. So initial velocity and finally where it reaches, all this, right? Which we all study, very simple equations of motion. You make a free body diagram, put the forces, right? So you can answer this question: how much is the height, what is the acceleration, how much the velocity at maximum height? All those questions can be answered. But there was one important question which is missing: why the football was taken up at all? The rasgulla or the ball, why it was taken up? That answer we don't have in our equations. Means the purpose of actions. And certainly when you are lifting a rasgulla, we have a purpose, right? We want to eat it. So this purpose is an important part of our actions, from small daily actions to the whole universe, but that part is still missing in the laws of universe we have. So if you analyze deeply, so these are some of the examples, the 5 examples I was giving you, that life, there are things which are not that simple as it looks at the first temptation. That, so if you go further, actually purpose deep, then so studying physics of any phenomena is useful but not sufficient to answer all questions about life. Other disciplines will be required to study it well. In fact, when you see a purpose, there will be life, and if you go inside the life, there will be a being who's involved with that purpose. So so idea is that one discipline, either physics or chemistry or biology or biochemistry or genetics, will not be sufficient to understand life. You require many disciplines, and which include psychology, humanities, even spirituality, to handle the things involved. Um, so, what are those missing things in our equations? So, our ancient tradition, our has put it in a simple form that well, biomolecule is not wrong. It is certainly a part. The body which we see, it's the temptation is not fully wrong. It has uh, some reality, but that's the insufficient part. So we have, other than that, the mind, which we all have. We know we have it. Where it is, what it is, there's no idea in today's exploration, modern exploration. And of course, the person himself, the being who is experiencing. So this is put in a simple form. The combination of this idea is that is a combination of all this. Uh, that is the idea. And Vedanta, uh, yeah, so this is as per Vedanta, the life is actually categorized, life is divided in three parts, like the physical aspect which we have, the body, DNA, genome, whatever, all the physical aspects we can touch and see. Then we have psychological aspects, the mind. We know that we have mind separate from brain, but where it is, we cannot touch it, we cannot see it, but we know it is there. The intelligence, buddhi, the ankar, false ego. And the person, the soul, the being who is behind this whole machinery, the possessing consciousness. So these are three aspects of life described in Vedanta. So as one undergoes the journey for spiritual practice, one can understand and realize these things slowly. So these aspects, these are mysteries, and they are much beyond normal temptations. So I think enough time, enough exploration we have done to understand clearly that our first temptations, like other branches, is not sufficient. The same thing also applies to the, you can extend to the cosmos, uh, the supreme life. There must be some behind every single phenomena we see, right? We try to understand it. Similarly, the all the phenomena happening in the universe. So what is the purpose behind this cosmos? And it's not me. Scholars, they all wonder. The big brains, they wonder. We have beautiful laws, beautiful equations describing this universe in the laws of physics, right? In the laws of different laws, Ampere's law, Gauss law, thermodynamics laws, gravitational laws, electromagnetic laws. These equations are beautiful and they describe a lot. Only thing is that, but how come these equations are there in this universe? We have not made them, we discovered them. So why, how come these equations are there? Like Einstein said, I want to know how God created this world. Rest are details. I want to know means how, why he did this all, and how. Uh, of course, they've got unlimited details in the phenomena. So that is why equations, the law in the form of laws which we have, they are nice, very good. They are really useful, but they are still insufficient without, like the example we gave, the eating person eating. So the equation you can describe physics of it, the lifting of the rasgulla, very nicely, but still there's a person behind. And a lot of dynamics is left out, which is beyond that equation. Similarly, if you extend that to whole cosmos, so mm, there is like, what is the purpose behind this unlimited universe which we study? Why there are beautiful laws? How come there are laws? So those questions lie beyond the laws, beyond the equations which we have. And if one goes deep enough, and also by the guidance of the previous seers, one can come to the conclusion, yes, there must be uh, supreme life or being, or what we call God. So that these are very natural conclusions, natural outcomes for inquisitive mind. And that's how it is also called, that's one of our institute's uh, slogan, life comes from life, which was originally also given by Louis Pasteur. That first life means the small life which we all are, and then finally the supreme life. comes from the life, means the supreme life, the God, or whatever name you want to give. So unless that comes in picture, our equations, our laws, our efforts are useful, good, but still will remain insufficient. So this is expressed by Towns, who discovered lasers. Charlestown recently, couple of years back, he left. He was 90 years old, and from California. He was a good friend of our founder. Um, he got Nobel Prize. We don't know what makes the laws of physics the way they are. It's a great puzzle. We have beautiful laws, but that's what I was explaining. Those exactly same thing he they want. Not only he actually great scholars, they wonder on these aspects very openly, easily. So this was must be planned by Sanskrit. So that's the actually the whole purpose of this whole Vedanta, the beginning as well as the end of Vedanta, to come to the point that there is some being here, some supreme being behind this cosmos. So it is expressed in the first verse of Vedanta, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now therefore one must inquire in this human life the nature of God, the supreme being, to search out that person, that being who is behind it cosmos. If one starts his search, if I start looking for it, then it is described that his bird-like consciousness, like human being, the consciousness is like a bird. It is not expanded. Then the sunshine comes and slowly starts expanding. It starts blooming. So when the living being starts inquiring and eventually start connecting to the Supreme Lord, then all his hankerings, misgivings, lamentation, fear, worries, they all slowly go away and he starts blossoming. He becomes very happy, jolly, and then it is endless actually. So that's described as a purpose of human life, to find out and connect with that person, the supreme being, God. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we bring in practically what does it mean today? So that means bringing mind, soul, these aspects in our equations. How will that be possible? And is that really possible? And what implications it will have? This is a quote from Schrödinger, one of the founding father of quantum physicists. He got the problem exactly right, to the point, actually. He mentioned that I actually do cut out my mind when I construct the real world around me. Means when we make a scientific analysis, I basically cut out my own mind, my own person, soul, or whatever, the God, and I make a very simple picture. And later I land up in the contradictions. And I find something is missing, like today, consciousness is missing. We don't know. And we have tried our best. Many scholars, they tried their best to explain consciousness using brain, but they all become slowly they realize. Like one of the recent person, Christoph Koch. He also in the beginning he was very enthusiastic that something can be explained using brain, and slowly he has changed over the years. So Schrödinger, I'm not aware of this cutting out. Means the when the scientist does this process, he go undergo the scientific analysis, he cut out the mind, the soul, and all, and then he's not aware. And then I am very astonished that the scientific picture of the real world around me is very deficient. That is what we were discussing. It is actually very deficient, not useless. It is deficient, insufficient. The reason for this discerning situation is just this, that for the purpose of constructing the picture external world, we have used a greatly simplifying device of cutting our own personality out. We have cut out ourselves. Hence, that is a great unfathomable question, where I come from. The same for everyone, science has no answer. This is very beautiful. There is a book from his book Nature and the Greeks. So suppose we bring in all these things practically in modern science, and well, that is that possible. And what it will mean. Invisible, bringing invisible thing, untouched thing. Like I cannot touch soul or God, or I cannot see eyes or put in the laboratory, not experimental laboratory. How, and that then it will may lead to a lot of contradictions in our daily workings, in our analysis. So for that, how will that be possible? How is that possible? So that's how a very beautiful example is given by Heisenberg. Uh, there are many. The two examples are like root of -1, imaginary numbers. See, the imaginary number, we know that we use I every day now, everywhere. In most of the parts of mathematics, actually you cannot do now without imaginary number. But nobody has seen I, nobody has touched I, and nobody has experimented I. We have not seen it. We have no even example in the real world. If you say 1, 2, okay, 1 apple, 2 apple. But root of -1, we have no experience of it physically in front of our eyes. We have not touched it, not experimented. Still, we use it. There were issues in the beginning, but slowly, slowly it got absorbed. So similarly, infinity. Infinity was a huge hue and cry when infinity was introduced in mathematics. Uh, but then Cantor and many people were involved. But then eventually it became so, now every day it becomes it has become like everyday task. 0 to infinity integrate fx dx. So infinity bringing in is brings definitely a lot of contradiction, but still now it is indispensable. So similarly, these things like mind, soul, God, if you bring in, you may feel in the beginning for some time some contradictions, but slowly they will get absorbed, even if you don't fully see them, observe them laboratory. So that's a beautiful example, and there are many more to handle it. So I'm kind of ending now on the this is a quote by Heisenberg. Basically, at the end, you will come to the same point. Even through modern science, even through your any analysis, that in the beginning it may look atheistic, but you go deep enough, bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you. That was Heisenberg's conclusion. He wrote in a book called Physics and Philosophy after undergoing all the quantum physics analysis, giving the uncertainty principle. So I end with this slide. Hope for the future. The one is uncertainty equation for life of life. So like if we can have in future in the we can have some uncertainty equation, means like in physics we have black and white equation, Heisenberg uncertainty equation, right? It gives you a limit. It's not a limit by any experiments or instruments limit. Tomorrow you have better instrument and you can remove that limit. No, h cross the Planck constant, the limit. So that puts a limit of our exploration. Similarly, I'm sure someday it will come. We can have an uncertainty equation for life. Means through our scientific analysis, through chemicals, through biomolecules, there will limit will come to explore the life. That uncertainty equation, just put it in that way. Of course, then second, the study of consciousness within our science textbook introduced in an open way. The origin of life not to be put as a solved problem, it should be put as unsolved mystery in the for the students, for public, so that everybody knows the issues are there. We have not solved it. Nowadays, it is presented in the textbook as if everything is solved and we finally have a cell. And then finally, the mind, soul, and God,
It's
if they
7
can be
o'clock.
included as a valid possibilities and solution to many foundation problems in the scientific disciplines. So I thank you very much for your time and listening to this presentation. Uh, so take care. I request everybody to take care of your health, of your safety in these COVID times. Try to take vaccination, uh, and we pray for all of your well-being. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation and taking out all this trouble to record the lecture and share with all of us. Thank you so much. Vedanand, you can unmute yourself and then ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I'm Vedananda, currently studying class 12th in biology. Sir, can you please tell me how the biology and science which I am studying can be used in the service of God?
Okay, good. Very good question. Very good question. First of all, congratulations that you have such a desire to serve the God, means serve Him. That's beautiful. Um, well, there are various, actually, since the whole peripheria of this universe has come from the Lord, including modern science and technology, so that should be used in service of God, certainly. Now, next is how. How is there are various levels of using it. One simple level is that suppose you write a book or write a paper, research paper, then you acknowledge or dedicate to God. That is very simple level, which you all can do. In your research guide, your study, nobody, your teacher will be offended, will not be angry, because anybody can do dedication to anybody, right? I can dedicate to my father, I can dedicate to the Supreme Father also. So that is very simple way, but there are deeper levels. Next is that I study biology in such a way that I try to find out and help others that how biology gives idea about God. For example, you have nowadays, because of internet is there, so you can see hundreds of scholars, scientists around the world in biology field who go deep in science, in biology, and coming out with the indications that signatures of divine, they say. You can see that this is not possible without God is there. So, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, and who who spread this beautiful message for helping humanity, I like him. So you can use that to serve him by using that knowledge. So you can write papers, you can give lectures, you can organize seminars, you can give lectures, even participate in our conferences. So unlimited, whole institution of Bhaktivedanta is activities. If you see, you will get involved and you will, this whole work is that only which you are asking. Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you
Thanks.
so much, sir, for your nice answer. Now I would like to request Radhika ma'am, please. Sorry, I'd like to request Radhika ma'am to please unmute yourself and ask the question. Are you able to unmute?
Yes. Thank you. Namaste, sir. It was a wonderful lecture, very insightful. I don't have any question as such, but I would request you to please show the slide that you put on with the words of Erwin Schrödinger. That was very, very profound. So I guess this sets the inventors, the great scientists, apart from ordinary people. So
I think sir will
I
share
want,
the slides.
yes, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a, you have caught a very, one of the foundational thing. Very good. I'll show you the slide. Um, um,
And you also mentioned that it is from his book. Could you please give the name of that book?
Sure, sure. Actually, this Schrodinger, uh, you see, okay, in the meantime, I'll tell you the slide is being shared. Schrodinger, we all know, right? But mostly we know Schrodinger by Schrodinger wave equation or
Yes.
few things, right? By his novel, the way for which he got Nobel Prize. But the books which he wrote, there are books which are so amazing, like famous book which you already know, What is Life. Other than that, Nature and the Greeks, from where this quote is there.
Nature
And the Greeks.
and the Greeks. Okay, thank you.
Nature and the Greeks, What is Life, and then there another third book, My View of the World. And then there are one or two more. Means all books are so beautiful. Means they get to the exactly the point why why we are in today this problem. Exactly
Yes.
this one. I when I first time read, I was so shocked that is it you get the exact problem where you are why you are in the problem today.
Exactly. I mean, the words that it says that I actually do cut out my mind when I construct the real world around me. That itself says that he was in a meditative state.
Certainly, certainly. See, I tell you our personal experience from last 15, 20 years. We have been going into the foundations of science through the eyes of these founders, actually. And you will be shocked that the way the things they wrote, because they were in so much problem. They, after the advent of this quantum mechanics, they were really in trouble. They never expected that the results which they were seeing in front of their eyes. So
Yes.
each person started looking thinking too deeply, like Heisenberg also. Actually, Heisenberg goes one step further. If you see the Schrodinger, Heisenberg has a book called Physics and Philosophy, and he comes to the right to the point in the last chapter that I have come from the learn from the quantum mechanics that whatever we have left out, mind, soul, and God, you will be forced to bring in back.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because I have a background in science and I'm currently pursuing my master's in yoga. So moving forward into the research aspects of the subject, these things would really, add on
Sure.
like in incentives to my knowledge. So thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your beautiful question. Now we have Niket Kumar Jha. Please unmute yourself and try to keep the question short.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir, for your presentation. My name Niket Kumar Jha, and question is like, how first question is like how soul travels from species to species, since all species may not have the same end goal, and only human soul can attain moksha, the ultimate purpose to relieve from life cycle. But simple creatures like ant eat, do something, some activity and die. So how then soul travels from two different organisms, since they may having different goals and destiny also. So that is the thing.
Yeah, good question, Niket. Um, the science, the science of transmigration of soul is a very deep science, Niket. It's not so easy to comprehend very easily. I can share some hints, but one has to undergo himself the training, the rigorous training. Like in modern science, you undergo 25 years of training, right? From childhood to nursery to BTech, MTech, PhD, and if required, postdoc. And you develop that conception, very proper training through proper. Similarly, this training is required. And training means it takes time, it takes the conceptions has to be settled, realized, right? Nevertheless, since you have put this, uh, one of the hint is that the study of psychology today is very, very immature. Uh, the transfer involves when the body is finished, but the mind is transferred. As soon as you come to the point of mind carrying the soul to another species, another body, a lot of issues will come, and it's hard to put that in the framework of words which we are trained in. Because mind still is like an alien entity in modern science, which we know we have, but it's still very far because we don't know, and there have been too much attempts, unsuccessful attempts to reduce mind to brain physical structure. So the transfer of the soul, it involves, to put in a very simple and crude language, Devina Netrena. It is done under the higher order directions. There are people, there are in charges. The universe is not like a push and pull blind forces. Behind forces, there are people there. So it's a involved thing. Uh, mm, may not be possible to grasp right away. Maybe you can join some more courses and study, undergo the Bhagavad Gita very thoroughly. But both personal study as well as training from a senior person. Then you can get some more clear glimpse about it. Okay, that much for I can say for now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation.